Hello and welcome to No Sevens College Football Week 12, the second to last week of the regular season. Guys, we are coming to the end, and coming up in December is going to be the conference championships, bowl games, and then eventually the playoffs. So last week, like No Sevens was saying, we were trying different things, and we added a bunch of teams. And I was saying, man, I should be lessening these teams. I shouldn't be having so many teams. Well, it was No Seven's first losing week, I think, since the beginning of or the end of September, somewhere around there. I swept October, I believe. So last week we went 3 wins, 4 losses, and 1 tie, and a couple of those losses came down to, half points. It was kind of upsetting, but hey, look, it's the way it goes. We're 38 wins, 22 losses, and 1 push. We had that 1 push last week for the LSU game. Whatever reason, LSU could not convert or have their offense plan handed off to Arkansas. They played a really good game last week, and go from there. So 3, 4, and 1. So I always seem to get a push. I was wondering if I was going to get a push or a tie this season, and it came to it. So week 12, guys, let's go over week 12 notes. Vandy. Things have gotten so bad at Texas A&M now. I think they lost 6 or 7 straight games in a row. It's the first time, and I can't remember. They had the stat, and I had it in my head. I just lost it, but it was been a long time that Texas A&M has lost this many games. It's so bad that Vandy, who is the bottom basement seller, is no longer in the basement in the SEC football. Vandy now has more wins than Texas A&M. That's how bad things have gotten at Texas A&M, and they're not going bowling. The number one team recruiting class last year is not going bowling. They're after the LSU game next week. That's it. Their season's done. And what happens to Jimbo Fisher and his crew? We don't know. That will remain to be seen. Their incoming class is ranked number 23. It's one of the worst classes coming in for Texas A&M in a long time. So pretty bad stuff. I've been talking about it all season. The dumpster fire just keeps on getting hotter. So next up, Oregon. Oregon played a great game against Washington. I had Oregon to beat out Washington. Washington showed up and took care of business. Oregon goes down. So now on top of the leaderboard is USC in the Pac-12. So something to look at. All right, and next up we have, we already talked about No Seven's first loss this month. So that's pretty much over. We need to finish this week and next week strong. So we need to really hammer this out to see if I can. I'm so close to that 79%. That tripped me up to 3-4, but so close to 79%. I'm at 71%. So if I can finish these 2 weeks undefeated, that will push me right there at pretty much 79. So hopefully I can get to that record. All right, so first game up is TCU at Baylor. TCU is ranked number 4. Played a really great game against Texas, and they're going to be facing Dave Aranda. This is going to be a really interesting game. -3. I see this game as a -6 in my eyes with TCU. Baylor's a really good defense with Dave Aranda and stuff, but TCU, man, they're just on a whole nother level. And they need to keep on playing really strong because you got Tennessee, you have LSU, you have USC. There's so many teams knocking on that door, wanting to get in. So TCU needs to keep playing with style points. They need to keep on playing aggressive. and keep on going because they got a lot on the lines, and if they're in control of their own destiny, basically is what I'm saying. So if TCU keeps on winning, they keep on getting that eye candy that the college football playoffs are looking for, they're going to stay in. But it's up to them to control their fate. So let's go ahead and lock in TCU -3, 11 a.m. kickoff. Should be a really good game against Baylor. Expect some really good defensive fireworks and maybe a little bit of offensive fireworks. Who knows? We might get something. It'll be definitely a great show right after college game day. Let's just put it that way. All right, next up is Kansas State. I normally don't pick all these Kansas State. I do one Kansas State a season. I think this is my fourth one so far. But I like their offense. I really like what they're doing with their offense. They're playing at West Virginia. And speaking of the shooting that happened at the Virginia campus, my hearts go out to everybody. Really sad to the football team. Tragic that we live in such a world where, it's, upsetting that we can't find harmony amongst ourselves and our brothers and sisters, and, things like this happen. So prayers go out to those people who lost their loved ones and people who are grieving at that university. Kansas State at West Virginia. The over-under is 55 points. It's a 1 p.m. kickoff. I had to double check this. 1 p.m. kickoff. Really strange how it played out. But anyway, Kansas State's playing at West Virginia. Both high-scoring offenses. The over-under when I took this was at 55. I wouldn't go any higher than this. I would go a little bit lower if it could. I do like the over. I like Kansas State to keep on hammering that 30, 40-point threshold. I expect West Virginia to score about 20 points in this. So let's go ahead and let's take the over at 55. But like I said, I wouldn't go any higher than the 55. And then, of course, next up we have Ohio State, who just had to run in that last touchdown at the end of the game and send my dark horse pick out of existence and squish my dreams. Indiana was shooting the hoops into the end zone, had 14 points, thought I was doing great, and here comes Ohio State, says, nope, you're not getting that one, no sevens. So Ohio State is playing Maryland. Maryland got shut out against Penn State. I told you about Penn State, man, they're a great team, at home. But Ohio State's going to Maryland. Ohio State needs style points. They're playing Michigan next week, so they're going to be thinking about that. But Ohio State is minus 27.5 in this. But Ohio State needs style points. They need to keep on playing aggressive. How aggressive will they play with Michigan coming up? We shall see. But first they need to play Maryland and play their game at least 3 quarters. So this is going to be interesting coming time and garbage time. So if you want to stay away from this game, you can. I do like Ohio State, though, to play all the way through, get their style points, score about 45 to 55 points. Will Maryland come back from being, laying a goose egg? Who knows? But I do expect Ohio State to at least cover this spread at 27.5. I really like this. If it's anything more than 30, I would stay away from it. Or you can just stay away from this altogether because we don't know how long their starters are going to stay in with Ohio State and when they're going to rest them. Don't know what Coach Day is going to do over there. But let's go ahead and take Ohio State minus 27.5. And that is for a 2:30 p.m. kickoff Central Standard Time. Next up is we're going to the SEC. South Carolina plus 22 or Tennessee minus 22, however you want to look at it. It's a 6 p.m. kickoff. Tennessee was throwing bombs all the way to the end last game. I don't know if you saw that game or not, but man, they were chunking bombs. I think they were playing Mizzou, if I remember correctly. I can't remember who they were playing. But anyway, South Carolina is plus 22. South Carolina's got a little bit of a game with them. But will they keep up with Tennessee? No. Tennessee still needs style points and everything else. But I do think that 22 points is going to be a little bit too much to cover for Tennessee. I think that's going to be really close. If you can get South Carolina for plus 25 that they have in some of the inner circles, I would grab that. Anything below 22, I would kind of stay away from this game. or maybe lean more towards Tennessee. I don't know if Tennessee is going to be able to cover that 22. They might be able to, but I just have a feeling South Carolina, they've been averaging around 14 to 22 or 21 points, 14 to 21 points a game. And you remember they scored that first touchdown against Georgia. Georgia's first touchdown on defense that they ever allowed this season came from South Carolina. So South Carolina can put together an offensive drive. I believe their quarterback is Spencer Rattler, who came from Oklahoma with South Carolina. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take South Carolina plus 22. We don't know. I mean, we shall see. I was going to make it a dark horse pick, but I already had a dark horse pick. So we shall see what happens and go from there. And there we go. All right, next up is USC at UCLA. So this ought to be an interesting game. We have USC is minus 2.5 against UCLA. USC is playing really well with Lincoln Riley as their head coach. He's doing a great job over there, really bringing that program around. Kind of reminds me of the old Pete Carroll days of USC. Just a great juggernaut of a team. Can't wait to see USC, and we might see Utah. We might see Oregon. We don't know who's going to see that out. That's another game that's going to be really good this week is Utah and Oregon. That should be a really, really close game. I stayed away from it. It was minus 2.5, 3 points in there. But anyway, USC at UCLA. This is always a little bit of a crosstown rival. Not really, but there's just always that bad blood. I don't know. It seems like when you watch that USC UCLA game, at least whenever I watch it, I don't know too much about the Pac-12, but being an SEC person, you can kind of feel that tension in that stadium. This is kind of like a pick'em game. It's minus 2.5, so it's kind of like who do you like in this? For me, I'm going with the hot team. I like USC, so I'm going to take USC minus 2.5. That's who I like. USC needs to continue to keep on playing strong because they have to keep playing strong to get that momentum to leapfrog LSU, leapfrog Tennessee to get into the playoffs. So they need to keep on playing strong because they control their own destiny on where to go. Even if they don't get into the playoffs, maybe a New Year's Six bowl game. So there's a lot to play for and a lot to know that they cannot lose to UCLA. So let's go ahead and take USC minus 2.5. All right, next up we have LSU minus 14.5 against University of Alabama, I think it is, Southern Alabama, something like that, UAB. They are a really good team. They have always been a good team. They're kind of a little bit on the downside this year, but UAB has always been a pretty productive team. LSU has got to work out their offense. And usually when they play a lesser opponent, I'm not saying UAB is a lesser opponent, but not an SEC team, they usually do fairly well. So that's why I'm hoping that LSU figures out their offense. They just blow the doors off of UAB, get everything that they need to get ready, and start working on because they got Georgia in a couple of weeks after Texas A&M for the SEC championship. And they had to eat some humble pie for the Arkansas game after beating Alabama. So I think this is kind of their wake-up call and letting them know that, hey, look, we still got to take care of business and we can mess up and then we lose everything. So expect LSU at home to come out guns blazing. I expect about 40 points for LSU in this game, if not in the first half. So expect a lot of fireworks. And if you guys haven't seen Harold Perkins, number 40, the linebacker for LSU yet, you need to watch him. That is a Sunday player playing on Saturday, and he's only a freshman. He is scary good. If he's not the number one pick in a couple of years, he'll definitely be in the top 3. And he's going to take home every award. I wouldn't be surprised that he's up for the Heisman in a few years. That's how good he is. So check him out, number 40, Harold Perkins. And man's a freak. I mean, he is on a whole nother level. So a man playing amongst boys. So let's go ahead and take LSU minus 14.5. All right, next up is Georgia at Kentucky, 2:30 p.m. kickoff. The LSU game is 8 p.m. kickoff Central Standard Time too. Georgia is 22.5. They're just laying waste to everybody in the SEC East. And, they're just steamrolling opponents and just saying that they own the SEC East. And Kentucky, they still have a lot to play for. They're trying to get bowl eligible. I think they're right there at bowl eligible. I don't know if they are or if they're coming close with their wins, but I know they're getting really close to that. But Georgia's just going to be too much. It's a juggernaut. They're just going to come in there. We saw what happened to them last week. I forgot who they were playing last week. Was it? I think I thought about that. That was Mizzou, I think it was. But anyway, whatever team it was last week, they scored. They came out in the third quarter and they scored 21 unanswered points, and then it pretty soon became 28 unanswered points going into the fourth quarter. That's what I kind of expect to see here. Is that Kentucky's gonna keep this close, probably in the first quarter, second quarter maybe, and then Georgia's just going to be like, all right, it's time to end this, time to put them to bed. So I like Georgia in this, so I'm going to take Georgia minus 22.5 at a 2:30 p.m. kickoff. I said I wasn't going to do a lot of games. I still did 8. I just can't help myself. I'm just cruising for disaster. So hopefully I have some good picks here. My dark horse pick. This is my dark horse. You guys might want to sit down for this one. I think No Sevens hit his head or something. Or still living with COVID fog from a year ago. Who knows? My dark horse pick. Penn State at Rutgers. Rutgers is plus 20, and it's a dark horse pick, so you already know who I'm going to pick. The reason why I like Rutgers in this and not Penn State, because you're like, No Sevens. Penn State just shut down Maryland. Just hung up a 0. They couldn't even score anything. Maryland couldn't against Penn State. Why are you going with Rutgers? Because if you watch the Rutgers game, they played Michigan, they played Ohio State, I think it was. They score points. They score about 20 points a game, and no matter who the opponent is. Penn State is a different team on the road. Their defense plays different. Their defense is not as tough or as stringent or whatever you want to call it. Penn State's offense is not clicking like they do at home, and they're playing away. They're playing at Rutgers. And this is pretty much Rutgers' biggest game that they're going to have at the end of the year. So there's a lot to play for this. There's a lot of bragging rights. There's a lot of everything. So Rutgers is going to play this game pretty tough, and Rutgers can score points. So don't be afraid that they're not going to score points. They're giving you plus 20 on this, and I expect Rutgers to at least score 14 points in this game. Will it be a shootout? Who knows? Will Rutgers win the game? Probably not. But we will take those 20 points. We will take those plus 20 because we think Rutgers will score at least 14 more points on top of that. So we're looking at about 34 points in total, if not maybe 41. If they score, maybe 21 points, might get 41. Either way, we're going to start out this game with plus 20. It's a 2:30 p.m. kickoff. So let's go ahead and take Rutgers plus 20 on the dark horse. I drew a line on there. I can't write Rutgers. I ran out of room. So hopefully you guys like that. Next up, let's go into the money line pick. I didn't do a lot of parlays and stuff because I'm not having a lot of success with it. I'm just going back to the basics. Why change it when it works? Just stick with the basics, right, guys? So my money line parlay for my teams who I like to win outright. And you can change this up. There's some of them that can go either way. So if you want more of a security, you don't have to do all 13. But my money line picks is North Carolina, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Michigan, Missouri, Florida, Ohio State, Georgia, LSU, Purdue, Florida State, USC, and Fresno State. Hey, look, I told you I'll pick the smaller teams, Fresno State, San Diego State, all these teams. But Fresno State's my pick this week. All right, my big money mega parlay. I'm going to do a round robin, 2, 3s, and 4s. I like LSU minus 14.5, Ohio State minus 27.5, Georgia minus 22.5, USC minus 2.5, and I'm going with my dark pick. That's how much I believe in my dark pick this week. Rutgers plus 20, and that's going to be the odds of plus 2,436. So these are my predictions this week. This is who I like. No Sevens needs to knock it out the park. The next 2 weeks need to finish strong. Need to play some of that Rocky music, you know. But guys, if I don't talk to you before Thanksgiving or your holidays, whenever you're traveling, wherever you're going, just be safe. And if you're on the road, just take your time. Don't be in a rush. I noticed that in the past few years, there's been more road rage and everything else. People getting upset more and everything else. And guys, just take a step back, you know, and just, I get road rage too, and everybody gets upset. But I almost watched a really bad accident tonight and almost took out somebody. It wasn't me that was in the accident or anything else, but it was almost a close call that I watched up ahead on the interstate. And guys, you know, there's just no need for all that road rage. And when you get upset and stuff, just try to calm yourself back down and just understand life is very valuable and very precious. So I wish you guys lots of luck in your predictions. If there's anything that you want to put down in the comments below for as far as picks or anything else, just let me know. But guys, I wish you all the luck in the world, and I will talk to you for the final week 13 next week. And then we're going to do conference championships and who do we like for bowl season. And I might do something for bowl season. If you guys want to do something for bowl season, comment below. We'll try to figure something out, like a tournament or something. So, and give away like a gift card or something like that. So we'll figure it out. I'll do some thinking, and we'll go from there. And if you guys can think of something, just put it in the comments. But anyway, I'm past my time. So No Sevens is going to catch you next week, and I'll see you on the flip side.